This week's presentation, Rob Hernández, LGBTIQ plus human rights. Rob Hernández presents a panoramic view in which all of us can be part of the creation of a more inclusive society, in which no matter your sexual orientation, you have the freedom to be and live your way. Rob Hernández is a Mexican cultural manager and promoter committed to the fight for the recognition of LGBTQ plus rights. He has managed and produced national and international projects that promote respect and non-discrimination. He has worked with civil organizations for 10 years in the area of communication and cultural management. He is the winner of the Mexican National Youth Award and 2019 Fellow of the State Council for Culture and Arts. He works in the development of projects on social innovation, artificial intelligence, and digital transformation of cities. Please give a warm, open welcome to Rob Hernández.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and I'm so grateful to be here today. I'm so happy that we have a lot of people here, and I will excuse my English because sometimes I lost Wi-Fi and it's like, oh, what's the word in English? Because most of these subjects I haven't talked in English, but I'm really happy that, thank you to the Rights of Chapala Society, invited me to talk this day. And not just like that, this is one of the activities that we have created in alliance with another institutions like Centro Cultural González Gallo, the Museos y Galerías de Jalisco, the civil organizations, Escucha Mi Voz, all these, we have one exhibition right there, like international posters from 22 designers from different countries from Latin America talking about love, inclusive love and non-discrimination. And we will have the same exhibition in La Casa de la Cultura de Jocotepec next week, and we will screen the documentary exposes that, as Steve said, is supposed to be screened last Friday. And I will thank as well like He Cares, Democrats Abroad, who make this possible, and for everyone like has contributed for the magazine, for the production of the exhibition, and we're so happy because for the first time that in 10 years we make an echo to the Guadalajara, that in the Ribera of Chapala we have so many activities talking about LGBTQ rights in June. So that for us, I mean, me as a Tapatio, as a Jalisciense, like open spaces to talk, to exchange thoughts about these issues. It's really important because I've been in touch with people, with activists for more than 10 years, and now we have the difference between 2010, 2009 and now, and the difference is huge. I mean, when I was young at that time, I will have the opportunity to see two guys like holding their hands on streets and without any problem. Maybe if I will have the example of a guy or a girl living their life, like it doesn't matter if I'm wearing makeup or if I'm wearing a skirt or something, I will, and I can be myself. Maybe my life will be easier. But it doesn't matter now because of that experience, that's the person that I am here, and all the fights and all the changes that we are doing now, it's not for us because we all been through a lot of things, so it's for the new generations. So that's why I'm so happy, because we are here, we are talking, we are like open spaces to get easier the life for the youngers. So that's made me really, really, really happy. And when it comes to June, it's known as the Pride Month because, well, a little short story, if you know, maybe you will know better than me, but in 1969, it's identified as the beginning of the contemporary movement of the LGBTQ rights with Stonewall, Marsha P. Johnson in New York. They start like riots, fight for their rights. So it doesn't mean that before that it wasn't any movements. I mean, it was lots of movements, even in San Francisco, in other cities, even in Mexico. But something happened at that year that makes a movement across the world in so many different cities. So that's why June is considered the Pride Month. So nowadays it's like we call it like Navigate, like Christmas, day Christmas, because it's every like about parties and campaigns and all the brands come with the rainbow colors and everything. But sometimes the straight people or the people that are against is like, why is not like a straight pride or like heterosexual pride? And why the guys and the lesbians and the trans people, they could have their pride and they have this month for express themselves and they say, hey, I'm here. And I will show you some numbers. That's why we need to keep showing us as we are in a public space. So the first time is like, why is important to talk about rights for LGBTQ people? The first thing is like, we live in a society that like, the taxes, they don't discriminate. I mean, they are very inclusive, you know? It doesn't matter if you are gay, bi, straight, or trans. We, all the persons that we live in a society, we pay the same taxes. So that's why we cannot be like treated as a second-hand citizens. So we need to have the rights, and the cities need to adopt all the laws, all their legislation to bring to all the people the equality in their lives. So the first time it's like that. It's like the city and all the governments need to be sure that all the people are included on their public policies. So when you show yourself as a gay guy, as a lesbian, or as a LGBTQ people, and you decide to get married and you face that you can't, that is a discrimination. So we need to start from there. Like all the cities and the laws, they haven't been built after sexual orientation. It should be like for persons, because our value that all of us here is as a person. It's not about sexual orientation. I mean, I'm against labels. You know, when I meet new people, I don't care, even if I'm here, like even if I meet people in a gay bar or in a safe place. For me personally, it's like very uncomfortable. Ask like, are you gay? Are you lesbian? Are you asexual? It's like, I don't mind. You know, it's like, it's people, and if I get like matched with that people, it's like, it's good. We going on. We have fun. We have a talk and drinks and everything. And I think that it should be. But for these days, talking publicly about our sexual orientation is a political statement, because it's very respectful when people say like, I don't want to show the people that say like, I'm gay, I need to keep it for myself, and that is okay. But there's other people that we need, or we decided to raise our voice and say like, hey, I'm gay, hey, I'm lesbian, and nothing is wrong, and nothing's gonna happen bad for you, and that doesn't define who you could be, and that is very good for the new generation. So first of all, it's like, that's why we need to keep going our activities on June. And the second thing is like, homophobia is something that has been like so interiorized in our lives. even in the people from LGBTQ community, because most of the time we say like, oh no, I'm gay, I'm not homophobic. You know, how can I be homophobic? And when you realize that you are criticizing other people or yourself to express something in public, and you cannot criticize that exactly activity for the straight people, that is homophobia, because you are afraid and you think that you need to hide from something, you know? It's more complicated because it's in a social environment and maybe you are afraid to be discriminating and everything. But even for us, for gay people, when I realized that, when I was thinking like, oh, I'm with my boyfriend in a public space and I'm thinking if I should or if I shouldn't hold his hand, that is something that the society has told me that you need to hide yourself because of who you are. So that shouldn't be. So I'm really happy because nowadays it's getting like more common. See two people holding their hands, even if they're not gay. I mean, I'm so happy to for the husbands of my friends that they are straight and they say like, and they can say like, oh, that guy is very gorgeous, and they're not gay, and it's like, yeah, even sometimes I find myself like, why he's saying like that guy is gorgeous, you know, maybe they will think that he's gay, and it's like, Rob, have you noticed what are you thinking now? And I was like, yeah, I need to change that. So and I think it's normal because I've been raised in a very macho cultural and something, and it's so conservative, especially here in Jalisco, in Guadalajara. It's like very, we call it machos, double moral. Like in one hand we say like, oh, yeah, we are like very conservative and we are doing like for religion and I'm not doing anything, and in the other hand we are doing everything that we are criticizing the other hand. So like like known as a gay guy, that kind of society, that brings me a lot of prejudice or homophobic thoughts about yeah, that brings me a lot of thoughts about homophobic things. So it's a constant work, and I said for all the parents that they have gay or trans child, it's like it's a process. Even for me, even for us, for the people here, we are from part of the community. It took us like years to accept ourselves and show it and talk it publicly without being ashamed of that. So we have to take that in consideration for our parents as well. Maybe we need to say like, okay, they have had their process as well. So it's like, it's a society and we cannot erase all our cultural heritage of the society we're living in. So that's the first thing. And this, and after that, it's like why we need a Pride Month. I will say some numbers from Mexico that shows that it needs to keep doing these kind of activities and open up spaces, because sometimes people, they have a preconception of the gay guys, of the trans people, and they say like, oh, that is something so far away from me. And when they realize that they have a relative or they have a son, daughter, cousin, something very close, that they are gay, lesbian, bi, trans people, and they're not like they used to talk that it should be, it's like, oh my god, nothing happens. It's like that. So, for example, I was talking about same-sex marriage, and nowadays it's legal and can be performed directly without protection in 22 out of 32 states in Mexico. So yeah, in a documentary I showed the first three couples from Jalisco that they went to Mexico City to get married because in 2010 in the capital city they approved the same-sex marriage, and it was one place out of 32 states in Mexico that it could be possible. So what the activists did, it's like, okay, we need to make like a strategy to bring couples from any other states, go to Mexico City, the couples can get married there, and they went back to their states and start like an illegal or administration to legal fight in their own states. So that's the first thing. It's like there's even though 3 municipalities, Guerrero, Querétaro, Zacatecas, that they are available, and Guerrero it's just the city, not the completely state. So that shows a little bit of discrimination, and after 10 years, it should be something that it should be spread across all the country, and it's not. And there's just this week 2 more states, they approved the same-sex marriage, like Sonora and Baja California. So we'll change it?
Can we just switch on?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's... So now we're talking about this, like the same-sex the marriage issue. It's something that is on a contract, and it's something legal. It should be out of preconceptions of religion or out of sexual orientation. So we notice that it is not, and we need to fight. So when some people, straight people say, "What is not like in a straight pride or a day for heterosexual?" It's like, because you don't need to fight, or you don't need to get like an extra paper to get married. So that is one example. So if you think that is not discrimination, just let me show how it is not with examples. And the other thing is about trans people. There's so many misinformation about trans people because they think that is something that they think or they believe they are. And maybe I was thinking the same when I found that like some kid of a friend, they say, "Hey," he was like 8 years old, and he said like, "Hey, I'm trans," and I was like, "No, how she can be sure that she's a trans kid?" And it's like, and after that, I have a radio program as well every Wednesday on the public radio of Jalisco, and I said like, I need to push my barriers, and I went and I asked, I made an interview to a mother of a son and the son as well. And I was asking, I was like, "I'm sorry if I'm being like, if I'm making a question like out of context, or that is, it could sound like very rude, but I would like to make the questions for the people that they don't understand." And I was like, how you were sure that your daughter was trans at 11 years? And she said like, I was asking myself the same, and how I was sure that I was taking the right decision for her. And she said like, and then I remember when she was a kid, like 4 years, like she wasn't really felt into her body, like she was like crying, she was taking her clothes out, and she was not identifying herself as a girl. But most of the times we think like, oh, the kids like they are like getting information from everywhere. They don't know what they want. So then the researchers, they say like, we built our identity when we between 6 and 11 years. And I was like, yeah, when my brothers, they asked herself, or they asked himself, if they were straight or not. They just started to like girls or boys, and they didn't ask if he was right or wrong. So that makes me think like, yeah, the gay people, the LGBTQ people, we are the only people that we hate ourselves before we realize we are gay. Because all the cultural, the media, all the environment show us that gay is wrong, or LGBTQ is wrong. So when you find yourself that you are gay, all those effects are coming to you. So it's like, that didn't happen to my brothers, and it's like, okay. And when we translate that into trans persons, it's like, it's even worse because they need to start and they need to take the decisions to modify their body, to modify their appearance, because it's very important for them. Their appearance should match with their identity, and it's not something like, I would like to wear something purple. No, it's like something who they are identified. So, and it's really, it's made me really sad because most of the people, they don't understand that, and they don't have the chance to get close with the people, to trying to understand the reality. That is something that for us, even inside of the community, is like, we don't, I mean, when I realized that the trans people, before they changed their paperwork or their legal ID, when they went to ask for a job, they asked themselves like, what name should I put on my CV? My social name as my identity, or my legal name as an identity that was brought to me, and I don't identify myself with that. And when I realized that, and I was like, I'm so privileged, because I never, ever thought, which name should I put on my CV? Or which name should I be tell in a public space? You know, it's like, because I'm cisgender and my appearance, it matches with my identity. So that makes me think like, there's so many ways to live out there, and the only thing that we need to do is respect, and trying to get information from the people that they are doing research, that they are living those kind of lives. So that makes me think, how can I contribute to this? So that's why I decided to start to make those cultural projects, because I think through cultural, we can make a space to reflect, to have a reflection about how other people live. And for example, in Mexico, 13 entities have a group gender identity law. Mexico, Coahuila, Colima, Chihuahua, Hidalgo, Jalisco. Well, there are 13 states in Mexico. And there are just 2 states, Jalisco and Oaxaca, that they are approving like the change of the auto identity for the kids, for the people that under 18 years old. So it's, I mean, I had a friend like she really taught me so many things about the difference between sexual orientation, identity, and gender expression, because I couldn't understand like how a trans woman could be heterosexual, because, or how a trans guy could be homosexual. It's very something different, and she really told me that in a conversation, and we were having a coffee, and I was like, can you explain me that? And she was like, oh yeah. And then she had the opportunity, like February, because in Jalisco this law just approved in November, and she get their paperwork as a girl in February, and she said, Roberto, you couldn't imagine that change, how could make my life easier, because when I'm having a flight, when I'm going like on a doctor appointment, they shut out my name, but in the ID. So I'm that girl, and I'm not that masculine name, and all the people is like, why that girl is like answered in a name of a guy? You know, it's like so, and that is something that I was like, wow, I haven't imagined before being close with her, like all these little details that makes their life easier, because I haven't had those problems before. So I'm so happy that Jalisco is taking the leading advantage of trying to make an inclusive society. You know, it's like it's not the people who need to adapt of the laws. It's not the people who need to adapt of the states. It's the state who needs to bring the protection to their citizens. So that's very important. And another thing is that the LGBT community is being killed. There's so many hate crimes in Mexico, and I think it should be like under all the crimes that have been reported as hate crimes. It's under the real numbers, because most of the people, they don't go like to denunciar, to make to the court, like to say, hey, you know, most of the people, they are afraid because they suffer double discrimination when they went to the minister, and they say like, hey, I was being brought because I'm gay and I met a guy. And like, oh, are you gay? And what were you doing there? And why? And why? And all of that, I was like, I don't care. I'm not talking about if I was with a guy or with a girl. I'm talking about I was a victim. So most of the people, they are afraid of going to make it a denounce. And at least 79 LGBTQ violent deaths were recorded, and 54.5% were trans women, 28 were gay, 10% were lesbian, and 2.5 were trans men, and 1.2% were identified as a bisexual. And Veracruz is an entity with the highest number of LGBTQ homicides, and the second one is Chihuahua, and I believe that Jalisco is in the first five, in the top five, and that is nothing like really good. And the average of the age of all the victims was 31 years, and the number of transgender victims was under 30 years. They are usually killed on public roads, in their workplaces, or their dead bodies are dumped in sidewalks, parking lots, rivers, and other public spaces. And I think that is not like that is not fair, because I mean any death, any kill, it's fair, but for the trans people, they are killed for being their self. So it's not. I mean, it's very hard, like to think like I could be killed just because I am who I am. You know, it's like I didn't do anything wrong. I was just I just met the wrong guy, and maybe the wrong guy had issues because they couldn't accept himself, and they decided like the easiest way to finish their acceptance problems is killing myself. So that is something like when you see in that way, it's like, we need to keep raising our voices. We need to trying to make this, like, I don't like the normal word because we're not like a normal, like, but it's like, it's getting normal for the people, like, no more trans, gay, bi, or lesbian people. So that's why we and all the civil organizations that I've been working with, it's like we're trying to make a cultural change. All the changes in public policies, all the changes in laws, all the changes in administrations and institutions are following that, making a cultural change, because it doesn't help us if we have like an amazing law about to protect LGBTQ people if they are killing us. You know, it's like they cannot protect us. They cannot protect us from in a private space. So all these actions are like directing to make that cultural change. So this is just a few numbers. Like in the last 5 years, there have been at least, because I think it should be more, 459 violent deaths of LGBTQ people, and in 2020, this number decreased 32%. And maybe it was because of the pandemic, because we were like locked down, and even in the pandemic from COVID, there were people, especially younger, that they were living in an environment that they couldn't be accepted. Imagine like living in a small place, an apartment, 2 bedrooms, and you're living with your 3 brothers and your father, your mother, and your father and your mother thinks that you are sick or you are wrong, and you cannot be out. You cannot be away from them, because that's where we live. So that should be like really, really, really bad for them. And I think I don't have exactly the numbers because I couldn't find that numbers, but that increased the depression numbers and maybe the suicide from the LGBTQ people, because when they say like, hey, why the LGBTQ people made a suicide, why they started doing drugs, some of the answers of those situations, I mean, I'm trying not to generalize, but I know many cases that they are trying to find an escape, because we, even me, or even a gay or people from the community, we are making comments, we are making fun about their lives, and we don't even notice. Maybe for us it's just easier, it's just so easy to make a joke about of trans people. And we don't know if some people around us are struggling with accept their identity. So that just makes them feel like, oh no, I'm wrong. And I'm really, really wrong, and I cannot like show in my real identity. So, and that's really represent when the people or guys or girls over 15 years, they decide to accept themselves as a trans people. And most of my generation, they say like, why they wait after 15 years and with a whole family and decided to say, hey, I'm a girl. Why? And I was like, why not? Because they was forced to create a family. They was forced to play a role in the society that they couldn't have any other option. So now they found a way to say like, hey, I need to be happy, I need to be true to myself, and I'm this person. And I was like, and I'm not, I would never ask, like, why till now? It's like, I'm so happy, like now you have the freedom to say that. It's like, we don't have to question, we have to accept, we don't know what has been all the process that they've been through. So, who cares for us? You know, it's like, all we need to do is like, respect for them. And most when I'm doing these talks, and all the people can say like, what we can do. I mean, how can I support? How can I be an ally for all this problematic? And I will tell you just a little bit points because we're running out of time. And the first thing is avoid the fake news. There are so many fake news, like they're based on religious thought or something that is not like necessary with a research or with a people who's been study the psychological or the de la psiquiatría. and we need to get sure. We need to be sure where we get the information. You know, the first thing I will say, like, please, we need to find reliable sources. And the second thing is like share it with close people. I mean, all of us maybe we have some friend and that they think like, oh no, this is really wrong, and I'm not, and I'm not good with that. And I was like, okay. So many years ago, I decided trying not to convince people of the way I think, because sometimes when the people is like really close-minded, it's like useless. But when I found people that they are really open to see new realities, I said, okay, I'm not trying to convince you, but this resource says this, and this organization says this, and ta 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 ta. And if you think we can discuss, I mean, like exchange points of view, but the first thing that I said, like, I'm not trying to convince you from something that maybe you are not willing to believe. And sometimes we are like so keen to say like, no, you need to think or believe the same thing as I do. And I was like, no, maybe you don't think the same as I believe, but you need to respect it. You know, it's like I'm not like if you can keep thinking about the same thing, it's okay, but you need to respect all the people, and we need to push that way. I mean, that's my personal belief. Like, I'm not going into fights of who's better, because sometimes that doesn't bring us to anywhere. So, but the thing is, like, you need to respect it, and even if you're not okay with that, there are some laws, there are some international institutions that they are supporting this, and researchers, and so it's okay if you think that, but you need to respect all these different kind of lives. And the other thing is create safe places. Like this, I really, I'm so happy, because I think this could be a really safe place, because maybe some of you, I don't know, maybe you are thinking like, oh no, you are saying something wrong. But we can talk, we can exchange point of view. And this is about to create a community. Maybe we don't have to think everyone as the same way, but we have to have the opportunity to listen to the other people. And maybe there is something that clicks on us, and it's like, oh, I haven't thought in that way. You know, it's like that. And the other thing is like visibility is important. Um, a moment ago, I said like I don't believe in labels. I take it as a political statement. I don't really like all the rainbow flags. I mean, I'm not a rainbow guy. A rainbow guy. And actually, this is like just the only sweater that I have with the rainbow. And it was because I was making an interview with an activist, and he said like, he called it 1 square meter activism. And I was like, what is that? And he said like, okay, maybe you don't like to be identified as a gay, but if you, in your workplace, if you have a rainbow, maybe it could be another guy or another girl that they are struggling with their life, and they will find someone to go. And it was like, maybe he's gay, or maybe he's open to, or maybe in the Pride Month she opens support, and they can identify someone to go with, you know. And it was like, I haven't thought that the rainbow flag or the colors or like the visibility could be useful in that way. And I was like, okay, so that's why in Pride Month and more in my life I'm trying to incorporate rainbow things like as a message for the people that it's a safe place for them. And other thing is support your local organizations, join the activities. I think it's really important, even if we are from the community, going to see other ways of expressions of the lives. Maybe we're not into the leather culture, but we found that it's something really different with us. Or maybe the shibari, the BDSM. I was talking with a friend and I was like, everybody thinks about shibari or BDSM as something like really hard and just hits and everything. And when I went to a workshop and they say you have to use like the cordon, the soga, the cordon that they use, it's like to make I don't remember, noodles, nuts. They use like the cordon to make nuts, and the first thing was like, this is like an extension of your body and use it for that. And I was like, I haven't thought that in that way. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm not into it, but that shows me another way. And the last one, and I think we all here, we can do that even if with our family. It's like raise your voice and shut out the injustices. I mean, if we are hearing something make fun of something bad, if, something misogynist, something homophobic, the first thing is like we don't need to laugh about that. It's like I'm not okay with that, and even if it's sort of dad or son or something, it's like that isn't really important. It took me. It was really hard for me when I was in a club, and suddenly I heard some amazing songs that made me dance for many years, and then I realized that, oh my God, that song is really homophobic, but that song is really misogynist, and I was like, and it was really hard for me when I'm in a club, and as soon as I heard that song, I started like that. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I mean, it's just, and my friends are, why don't you dance that? And I was like, no, I don't like that song. And then they say, why? And I was like, because of this. Okay. But and I'm not trying like, no, you shouldn't dance as well. No, it's like I'm doing by myself, and it's my political statement. So I think we all here, if we are agree and we are supporting the inclusion and non-discrimination, we can do that. We can start from there, like trying to spread the word in a close people that are around us. And with this, I hope we can share our voice.